If you're anything like me, you probably spend countless hours at work, sometimes thinking that you're spending way too much time with your colleagues versus your own family. In fact, a recent study found that the average person spends over 90,000 hours at work over their lifetime. And that's a lot of time, right? And yet another poll found that a staggering 85% of people worldwide are unhappy with their jobs. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 8 career mistakes that might be making you miserable at work, and hopefully being aware of these mistakes or traps can help you avoid that career misery pitfall. All right, let's dive in. The first mistake is prioritizing everyone else's need over your own. Now look, I'm not saying that teamwork and collaboration is not important. It absolutely is, but prioritizing what belongs to you and your personal space is going to keep you sane in the long run. A study by the American Psychological Association found that 53% of employees feel overwhelmed because they take on too many tasks and work late hours, neglecting their own work-life balance. So if you're the one that always stays late in the office, or you find yourself way too many times checking your work emails or work-related tasks in the evenings or during your personal time, just take a pause, because you might be making this mistake and this is not going to be helpful for you in the long run. If you watched my video on how and why I had the best first month in a new job ever lately, then you would have known that the primary reason for that was because I was very particular and really protected the boundaries of my work-life balance and really prioritized the things that helped me stay better and healthier and more sane, and that helped me do my job better in the long run. So that's essentially the key reason why I had an amazing first month in my latest job, and I feel it's super important, and it wasn't really something I did before. The second mistake is trying to keep up with your colleagues who have very different work styles and very different goals than yours. We all have our own pace and different styles of working, and that is absolutely okay. Have you ever heard of the famous saying, comparison is the thief of joy? Well, in this context, it's more your sanity than joy, but I think you get the point. A survey by the Society for Human Resource Management found that 48% of employees felt pressured to match a co-worker's pace or output. So if you find yourself working late just because your colleagues do, or you're taking on additional projects and tasks, again, to keep up with them, then you might be falling into this trap and making a mistake that will make you unhappy in the long run. The third mistake is over-relying on external motivation and recognition. And no, don't get me wrong, like I absolutely think you should be rewarded. Your successes should be recognized in the workplace. And if that's not happening, that is another problem. But if you rely too much on that versus finding your self-motivation, your inner discipline, and just realizing and thanking yourself for the work that you're doing, and not realizing what you are doing if you're not getting the validation externally, then that's a problem. In fact, a study by the American Psychological Association found that employees who heavily rely on external validation reported higher levels of stress and job dissatisfaction. So if you're feeling unmotivated or under stress because you're not really hearing recognition or validation from your direct reports or leadership team, suggestion with this one could be to seek motivation and discipline internally. Maybe do some self-reflection on why you seek so much external validation. And if in the case that this is extremely important for you and you never actually end up hearing any validation from your leadership team, then it might be best to voice this out in a obviously kind, polite, and professional way, and let them know that this is something that is important to you. The fourth mistake is being disorganized at work, and I think this is a pet peeve of mine. This is something I prioritize very heavily. And if you've ever watched any of my previous videos on like templates or swipe files or productivity at work, it's all about this, because when I'm in a messy room, I can't work, and it just feels the very same with work as well. If I don't have processes and systems, it makes me feel very disorganized, and it might lead me to miss some deadlines or fall behind on some work. And apparently disorganized work habits are not only bad for me, but for everyone else. According to a survey by the National Association of Professional Organizers, Disorganized work habits can lead to missed deadlines, poor performance, and a lot of stress at work. So the solution might be to look closer at your physical and digital workspaces and see if there is clutter that is actually triggering this poor performance, missed deadlines, and stress. Like, look at the factors that are causing the stress on you and try to have better systems, better workflows, and a cleaner workspace as well. The fifth mistake, and this one is very important to me, being complacent in a job that does not fulfill you. I think I am the person that can never stay in a job if I don't find it fulfilling and satisfying, and if it doesn't fit into my personal mission, vision, and career goals. But it seems like it's not just me, because a poll found that 70% of workers are not engaged at work, indicating a high level of job dissatisfaction. So I think it's just a matter of doing that reflection exercise and realizing whether or not that job is really fulfilling for you. I feel like we have so many items on our checklist when it comes to the people that we involve in our lives, like when we're choosing a partner, for example. This is a funny example, but I feel like we don't really apply that kind of approach to choosing jobs, and then we end up spending so many hours with our jobs or with our colleagues at work, and then we find ourselves in a miserable state. So I don't know why we don't pay enough attention to it, but if your job is not satisfying you, if it does not fit into your career, and if you're really out of place at that job, then it might be time to change, and it might be time to put an end to it. So maybe it's time to do some introspection and ask yourself why essentially you're staying in a job that doesn't excite you or challenge you. Is it because it's very comfortable? Is it because of some other factors? Do you want to maybe do a pros and cons and weigh in which side is really heavier? And maybe ultimately you're going to realize that this no longer serves you and it's time to move on, and that is absolutely okay as well. The sixth mistake that you might be making is not planning for your career growth. In fact, a survey by Career Builder found that only 37% of employees have a clear career path or a succession plan. So if you're not setting career goals or have zero idea what is next for you, what you want to do in the next 5 years, and I'm not saying this in a cheesy way, in an HR way where you are asked this question in interviews and it's really cringy, because who knows in this day and age where they're going to be in 5 years, but are you really giving it any thought at all, or you're not even bringing this question to your mind? I think that's the point here. Some of the things I like to do for this particular one is to ask myself how I want to design my life, how I want to live my life. What do I see myself doing in the next couple of years? What kind of technologies do I want to be using? What kind of role do I want to play in an organization? What kind of organization makes me happy? What kind of culture in a company makes me happy? These kinds of questions are going to give more clarity on what your next steps could look like versus you trying to define every step of the way, which is rather a more difficult exercise for a lot of people. The seventh mistake is not investing into your professional development. And this might come from the company that you're working in, or this might also come from personal initiatives as well, because there's so many online resources that can help you with your professional development, personal development as well. And so if you're not seeking, or if you're not taking advantage of the professional development opportunities at the company that you are working with, then this might be the mistake that you're making. So maybe if your company has these kinds of offerings, look into them and explore what you could be doing and how you could expand your vision, your mindset, or add new skill sets to your career growth. And in the case where your company does not have any professional development offerings, then maybe you could look externally as well. There's a lot of free options that you could be taking advantage of. But if you're not doing this at all, you might be missing out on a key aspect of career satisfaction. The eighth and final mistake is putting off things until the right time is here. And I feel like this is a mistake that's so common and that we make in many areas of our life. A survey by the University of Phoenix found that 55% of US adults are interested in a career change, but many delay making the change due to fear fear or uncertainty. So the takeaway is that if you're unhappy in your current job, in your current state, but you're just putting off the decision until the right time arrives, then you're definitely making this mistake and you're hurting yourself. So again, if you need an understanding of why you're seeking for that right time, I think it might be best to do some introspection on what the right time really looks like for you, and to maybe just become more aware if there is ever going to be a right time for you. And remember that unless you have the courage to step out of your comfort zone and make bold decisions and pull the trigger on the things that you want in your life that are important to you, no one else is going to make those decisions for you. You have to do it yourself. And look, if you've identified that you are falling into any of these traps or making these mistakes, then it's not too late to change your career habits. By recognizing and addressing these mistakes, you can start to make your life so much more satisfying and fulfilling. If you found this video helpful, you know what to do. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, comment, and share this video with others who will also benefit from this content. That would make me super happy and would support the growth of this channel so much. I appreciate you watching and being here with me. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.